Death isn't the end. It's a transition into a world of biological horror that most of us are too terrified to acknowledge. We're exploring the moments where biology turns into a nightmare, from the violent physics of decay to ancient medical sacrifices. These are the top 3 disgusting science facts that will haunt your sleep. And our first topic is a phenomenon so disturbing, it redefines the very concept of life after death. If you think you have a strong stomach, stay with me. You're going to need it. Number 1. The Coffin Birth, the physics of the grave. Imagine a cold, silent morgue, or the absolute darkness of a sealed casket 6 feet underground. In this place, where everything is supposed to be at rest, something impossible happens. A woman, dead for days or even weeks, performs the most sacred act of humanity. She gives birth. This isn't a miracle. This is a phenomenon known scientifically as Postmortem Fetal Extrusion, or more hauntingly, the Coffin Birth. To understand this, you have to forget about the sanctity of life and look at the brutal physics of gas and pressure. When a person dies, the immune system vanishes, leaving the door wide open for trillions of anaerobic bacteria, the same ones in your gut right now, to take over. These bacteria begin a process called putrefaction. As they digest your tissues, they release a massive toxic volume of gases: carbon dioxide, methane, and hydrogen sulfide. In a living person, these gases are naturally managed and expelled, but in a dead body, they are trapped. Within days, the torso begins to bloat, expanding with enough force to warp the very shape of the body. Now, consider a pregnant woman in this state. The fetus is no longer supported by life, but it is still physically present within the uterus. As the bacteria feast and the gases multiply, the pressure inside the abdominal cavity reaches a breaking point. It looks for the path of least resistance. With the force of a hydraulic press, these gases exert massive physical pressure on the uterus, mimicking the mechanics of labor with a terrifying mechanical efficiency. The unborn fetus is literally jettisoned from the body. It is a birth of physics and decay, not of life. Archaeologists have uncovered ancient graves where a mother was buried alone, only for the remains of a tiny skeleton to be found between her legs centuries later. It's proof that the universe doesn't stop its work just because we've said our goodbyes. It turns a human tragedy into a biological anomaly that mocks the very idea of a peaceful rest. Number 2. The silent invaders, the face travelers. While the coffin birth is a horror of the dead, our second fact is a horror of the living. We like to think our skin is a fortress, a boundary that keeps the world out. In reality, you are a walking, breathing ecosystem, and some of your tenants aren't paying rent. They're eating the foundation. Enter the gnathostoma. These aren't your typical stomach worms. These are travelers. They live in the subcutaneous layers of your flesh, navigating your anatomy like a highway system. There are documented medical cases of people, even experts who study these creatures, waking up to find a migrating swelling on their face. You look in the mirror and you don't see a rash. You see a movement, a slow, rhythmic slither under the surface of your forehead. The worm is moving. It's exploring your eye socket. It's crossing the bridge of your nose. It can stay inside you for years, moving from your lungs to your liver and eventually to your skin. The true horror here isn't just the physical pain, it's the psychological violation, the absolute loss of control. You are a habitat, a biological apartment complex where the residents move the furniture while you're still inside. Every twitch becomes a haunting question. Is it just my imagination, or is something taking a shortcut across my skull right now? There have even been instances where these parasites were seen moving across the surface of the eye, a tiny slithering ghost inside the very organ you use to see the world. Number 3. The Mellified Man, the human drug. Finally, we move to a medical reality that sounds like a horror movie script, but was actually a high-end luxury for the elite. Imagine a medicine so rare that it required a human being to spend their final years turning their own body into a drug. This is the Mellified Man in the 16th. The century Chinese medical texts documented a process that can only be described as sugar-coated suicide. It started with an elderly volunteer, someone nearing the end of their life, who would commit to the ultimate sacrifice. Their mission? To become a living preservative. They would stop eating everything except honey. They would drink honey. They would bathe in honey. After a few weeks of this, their entire chemistry shifted. Their sweat, their blood, and even their waste became pure, concentrated honey. This wasn't just a diet, it was a slow internal embalming while they were still breathing. When they inevitably died from this extreme malnutrition, their internal organs were already saturated. But the real horror began post-mortem. The body was placed in a stone coffin filled with, you guessed it, more honey. For 100 years, the body would macerate in total darkness. A century-long chemical reaction that turned human flesh into a sticky, medicinal resin. When the seal was finally broken, this human rot candy was sold as a miracle cure for broken bones. People weren't just taking medicine. They were eating a liquefied, century-old corpse that had been marinating in its own juices for 100 years. The realization that someone's last breath was taken just to become a gourmet drug for the wealthy is a level of disgust that history tries to bury, but the science remains. Imagine the texture and the chilling reality of consuming another human's preserved essence just to heal a fracture. We spend our entire lives trying to sanitize our existence. We use perfumes to hide our scent and elaborate rituals to hide our end. But science doesn't care about your dignity. These facts are a reminder that we are all just a collection of chemical reactions, waiting for the right conditions to become something else entirely. Most people will turn away from this video. They'll call it too much. But you didn't. You stayed until the very end because you have a hunger for the truth, no matter how visceral or disturbing it might be. You're the reason we look at the things the world wants to forget. The universe is full of these suppressed truths, rare biological artifacts, historical secrets, and scientific paradoxes that the mainstream is too scared to touch. We are just getting started. If you have the stomach for what's coming next, if you want to understand the world as it truly is, not how it's marketed to you, then you know what to do. Subscribe. Turn on those notifications. Don't let the world keep you in the dark. Because the truth is out there, and sometimes it's a lot more terrifying than fiction. Until next time, keep your eyes open. Because even when the world is silent, the science is still moving, and it's watching you.